Well, I never got to crisis management. Let me just say a few things about
Yep.
that. um, the first thing you have to do if things seem to be getting out of control, meaning they starting to spiral, like you have one bad day and then that bad day leads to another bad day and then that bad day leads to 10 more bad days, and so you are getting into crisis mode. Okay, sometimes you may not notice how bad things are, which is why the breathing is important. When you listen to your breathing, like again through doing the breathing exercises or literally just stopping and listening to you breathe, it brings you back into your body at the present moment. Okay, I use this technique a lot when I have dreams that are like weird and I'm like, okay, I don't know who this is. I don't know why this is going on. Get me out of here. I start to listen to my breathing. I just do it naturally, but I realize that's what it is. Like I start to listen to my breathing and it wakes me up. So it brings you back into the present moment. Okay. And so when things start to like spiral out, like the sooner you catch the crisis, the better. So when you have one bad day, you need to do something to reset that bad day. If you have a bad 15 minutes, you need to do something pretty immediate to reset that 15 minutes. Doesn't matter what it is. Like there's any number of things you can do, but you need to do something. You cannot allow things to spiral out of control. That's again back to this whole comment of some people are too stupid to be poor. Like poor people understand you can't let things go out of control for too long because you don't have that long to solve it. But people who have never had to experience this type of chaos, which is coming, they may wait until, you know, the demons are like sexually assaulting them in their sleep to say, hey, I might need to get some help. No, 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 no. The demon crept up on you slowly, right? It didn't just like end up in the bed with you. It courted you and you said yes. You don't know how you said yes, but you said yes, and that's how you ended up getting sexually assaulted by a demon. This is what, like in the spiritual realm and physical realm, is the same thing. Like you gave some kind of consent because they're not allowed in your energy if you don't give consent, which is why another part of this is important to constantly be cleansing your energy, especially right now because there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So when things start to get out of control, you need to immediately regain control of the situation. You cannot let things spiral out and then just like wait to clean up the mess later because that might not be an option. So that's the very first thing. The second thing is when things do start to spiral out of control, the first thing you should do once you realize that things are spiraling out is that you need to look for resources. This could be a person to talk to. This could be money or whatever it is. This could be like music or whatever it is. You look for a resource. I always recommend people, but you immediately tap into whatever resource you can. So like for me, like when things were spiraling out of control, I would call my dad. Okay, I need to call my dad or I need to call somebody and talk me off of this bridge, right? Because I'm about to jump off this bridge right now if someone doesn't talk me down. So reach into your resource bag. This is why you have to have a community. When you have a community, there's multiple people to reach out to. When you don't have a community, there's nobody to reach out to. And so you want to tap into your resources. That's why, again, it's a good idea to invest in local groups, local clubs, local churches, whatever. You need to have a community of people you can tap into if you need some emotional support. A lot of people don't have money, most people have time. Okay, because they don't value time the same way they value money. So you want to make sure you have people who are willing to emotionally invest into you. Okay, as your resources. The next step would be to identify the problem. 9 times out of 10, whatever the problem appears to be is not what the problem really is. So, for me, I always review my actions and say, okay, why is this really making me upset? I know it's not, like, I automatically say it's not the person. So it's not the person. What in the situation is causing me to be upset? So like my old man, like, well, I had an issue, but what I realized is that my problem was that I invest a lot of time in what I put into my body, like what I listen to, what I eat, what I wear, like what I'm consuming in general. I put a lot of energy into curating what I consume, and he does it. And so like I find it to be unfair that I'm spending my time to curate my life and somebody else is not doing that, but then they want to make fun of me for my emphasis and my energy on my curation. And it's because it's not fair. And so is that so then once you identify what the real problem is, the next part of that is determine, is that a me problem or is that a somebody else problem? And in my case, most of the time it's not a me problem because I've already done my internal work, right? So I've already identified where I cause problems, where I cause chaos, where I'm out of alignment and all of that. So 9 times out of 10, it's not a me problem. No, there's nothing wrong with me making the conscious effort to curate my life. That is actually a good thing. And nobody's going to talk me out of that. So once you know like what it is in that regard, like if it's you or if it's the other person, if it's the other person, then you have to assume that they're possessed, because nobody in their right mind, like nobody who is totally unpossessed, would find whatever it is that you want, in my case, curating my life so that I can live a good life, to be something problematic. The only entity that would have a problem with me having a good life is a deceiver and his minions or whatever. So then once you identify, okay, it's not me, or something I did, it's not really the person, it's whatever this entity is. And this entity is 9 times out of 10, you can chop it up to the deceiver, because that's pretty much how it works. And so, but you have to go through the process, because once you identify as a deceiver, the way that you deal with the deceiver is you affirm reality. The reality is, I am 100% allowed to curate my life however I want my life to be. The deceiver doesn't have a say. The creator is the only one that I answer to. Only God can judge me, or goddess. Only goddess can judge me, or God, whoever. None of these other people can judge me. So it doesn't matter what they think. And so you, at that point, when you get to that point, you cut off the energetic tie that they have tied into you. You have successfully cut that cord. And from there, just continue to affirm reality and work with your resources to come from out of the crisis. So for me, when I had to move out of my other house and move into this house, I reached out to the priest at the church where I was going. I wasn't even like, I was a catechumen, but I hadn't been baptized or anything. I reached out to him. I asked him if he had resources. He had a resource. I talked to the resource. The resource was able to get me someplace to stay, and that's how I ended up in this house. So I tapped into my resources and I was able to resolve my issue from there. Now, has this been a perfect solution? No. And that's another part of it. Don't sacrifice the perfect for the good enough. Is it better to live in a house than on the street? Absolutely. Sometimes do I think that? Not really. But like when I'm stomping around on like water bugs, but this is Florida, so they're always in the house. But sometimes it doesn't feel that way. But in reality, in objective reality, it's always better to have a roof over your head than to not have a roof over your head. So don't sacrifice the good for the perfect. It's not going to be perfect. Like it's that building up to being making things basically perfect takes time. And that's the part that is based on like your chart and